when I'm not with my kids, I only have my kids 50% of the time, but that's my focus, man. That is my focus, keeping healthy mental mind. And I love being around cards. I know it sounds so cliche, but if I'm around sports and cards, I don't need much. I really don't. I don't need a girlfriend. I don't need a wife. I'll never get married again. I'm good. I got my kids and cards and friends. I'm good. If cards don't take you back to a time when you're sitting on the floor of your bedroom, opening packs with your friends or your dad, if this has become not a business, but a business where you're losing money and you're gambling, you got to revisit your life choices. Like, slow it down, think about what you're doing, and don't blow all your money and credit card debt on cards, chasing. It's no different than going to the casino these days. It's gambling. I'm in the top of the Topps booth at the National, because we own Topps, closing a $600,000 card deal for the Caitlin Clark logo woman with my client and Kevin, the guy I interviewed with 3 years ago, who's now my boss. And I was like, I don't think you understand how big of a moment this is for me. It's surreal, because the only thing I care about besides my friends and my kids are cards. I joke around I should be dating more. I hang out with every fat guy in New Jersey, my friend's baseball card stores, when I don't have my life. This is my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Saustown Investor Podcast. I am your host, Matt Cox, back with another amazing guest today. I first found this gentleman on LinkedIn. So, as you guys know, I'm a huge sports fan, and he posts really cool sports and specifically sports card content on LinkedIn, and he agreed to come on with us today. So very excited. Our guest is a father of two who is a sports cards and collectibles aficionado. Today he works with Fanatics as a cards and memorabilia specialist. His dad bought him his first pack of cards in 1985, and the rest is history. Today, we're going to talk about the world and the business of sports cards. I am joined by David Gintis. David, how are you doing?
Hey, Matt, great to be here. Doing well. How are you?
I am doing well, and I have to say, I told you off air, but I definitely dig the Expos hat. We talked a little, because I'm a Mariners guy, we talked a little old school Randy Johnson. Definitely cool hat to rock on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And where are you joining us from today?
I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Okay. Well, for those who are watching on video, you can probably see that David is wearing a Eagles hoodie. But I got to ask you, because I always do business calls, and I'm a sports guy. So the first thing I usually ask people when I find out where they're from is, who are their teams, or did you watch the game last night? And half the time they're excited to talk about it. And then about the other half, they're kind of like, I don't really do sports. I know you like sports. So I'm excited to be able to ask this and not worry about it. Who are your teams that you root for living in Jersey?
Yeah, you can see some of the stuff behind me. Actually, I can't really turn right now, but you can see some of my stuff. So it's weird. I'm from Philadelphia. The burbs of Philadelphia. Went to the same high school that Reggie Jackson actually went to, Cheltenham High School. But I grew up a massive Phillies and Yankees fan, which is weird, I know. The Phillies were awful when my dad was a kid, so Mickey Mantle was his idol. So you like what your dad likes. I grew up rooting for Don Mattingly. He was my childhood idol. Massive Eagles fan. We had season tickets for over 40 years. And like any other person around my age in the Philadelphia region, we loved the Flyers when Lindros was here. I don't really watch them anymore. I'm going to my first Flyers game in 20 years on Sunday. And I don't watch the Sixers. I was a huge AI and Barkley fan, but I do watch sports when I can. I mean, I'm still obsessed with sports. I'm still a little kid. I collect jerseys. And so, yeah, those are my teams. They'll always be my teams. Now I kind of root for players.
Did you, I have to ask Sixers, because I'm a Knicks fan. I can't stand Joel Embiid. Did you tap out on them because of Embiid, or what made you stray away from the Sixers?
Yeah, they're just, when you're playing well, they're like anything else. They're playing well, they're fun to watch, but I just can't stand him. He and Jokic are the two most talented, not the best, two most talented centers ever. Jokic never misses a game. Embiid can't even get on the court. It's really frustrating. And he bitches and complains making $60 million a year. It's like, try having a real job, right? So back to back, I don't get it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And then when he took that, I won't do a whole podcasts on my Embiid hatred, but I get this one
Yeah.
off my chest. When he took that cheap shot at Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks in the playoffs and injured him a couple of years ago, I think that was
Yep.
the most hatred I've felt for a pro athlete in a long. I cannot stand the guy. He's a crybaby. He blames his teammates. And you're right, you don't see any of that from Jokic or any of the great superstars, and he doesn't have that it factor, I don't think.
Yeah, look, it was beautiful when he won his MVP award and he cried and he brought his son. It was a beautiful moment, but yeah, we love Philly's a blue collar town, right? And they love just give it all. Everybody says we're the worst fans. You saw what we did for Cam Scadaboo Sunday, gave him a standing ovation. Like nobody likes to see that. Just work hard, don't be a bitch, and that's all we ask. Work hard. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
guys have been blessed with a lot of athletes who definitely represent that. You touched on AI and Barkley. I think of guys like a Bryce Harper or
Yep.
Jalen Hurts and Saquon. A lot of tough blue collar guys.
Yeah.
Let's get into your story. So you told me your dad bought you your first pack of cards, sports cards, in 1985, and you were immediately hooked. What was the pack, and what do you remember about that moment and kind of the feeling that you had maybe opening it and why you loved it and why you were so hooked immediately?
Yeah, I'm very grateful. My grandfather was a massive sports junkie, so I grew up hearing about the Philadelphia A's. I actually have a Philadelphia A's elephant tattoo on my arm for my grandfather. And my dad was a huge sports junkie. And I just thankfully was just an alpha male, 6 years old, and had pennants all over my wall. And I remember parents lived in a little row home, and he went to the drugstore and I got 1985 Topps football, which the black border, they're all cool close-up pictures. And I just remember being enamored with the pictures. They were all close up, and I'm a stats guy, just looking at stats in the back of the cards. I love the pictures. I love the players, the close-up smiles. I actually put together a full PSA 9 set 30 years later of the cards, but that got me hooked. And then buying more packs and more packs. And then when I was, I guess, 9 or 10 years old, my dad used to travel a lot, and he went to Louisville Slugger, and he brought me back a bat with my name on it, but I was a little kid and I was too small to use the bat. So he was like, let's just start going to baseball card shows and get autographs. So I have over there behind me, 40 Hall of Famers signed my bat, and we would go to shows, not every weekend. We would go to shows all the time, and I just started collecting at a really young age. And the black borders, I took a permanent marker to try to make them look like you can't keep them in good condition as you can now. Right? There's really nothing to put the stuff in except binders. But I remember using a black permanent marker on the cards to keep the borders black, and it's still my favorite set because it's very sentimental. It's not a huge set for rookies. There's a Warren Moon. If you know football, there's Mike Munchak, the old coach who's a Hall of Famer. Richard Dent, we actually just sold Richard Dent rookie's like 30 grand, but it's not like 84 where there's Elway and Marino. It's just a lot of Hall of Famers at the end of their careers, and I just loved it and was hooked.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool you were going to these shows with your dad, and I can relate because a lot of my relationship with my dad is around sports, like cards and watching games and him coaching my teams and stuff. So were you guys like literally like taking flights all over the country to go to shows every couple weekends, or what was that like?
No, thankfully, living in a big metropolitan area, whether it was the Atlantic City show with all the 500 home run hitters or Philly, they all came here. There was a big show in the suburbs in Willow Grove, PA. It was at the George Washington Motor Lodge, which is now called the Philly Show, but it's been around for 50 years. So DiMaggio, Koufax, Griffey's, Bonds, they all came to the show. And It was
Wow.
the days where I can tell you, I remember the show in 1989, July 4th weekend. I don't know how I remember this, but Willie Mays was $14 to get an autograph on a baseball. To give you an idea, the last show he ever did when he was actually going blind, he was charging $650 to sign a bat. So that's the price, discrepancy and increase through the years. Yeah, Mantle, I got to meet DiMaggio. I have in the other room. DiMaggio was $40. And when you walked in where they were selling photos of DiMaggio and Mantle, and it was already signed by Mantle, and it was $35. So it was $75 for a Mantle DiMaggio photo. Looking back, you wish you would have bought 10,000 of them. You wish you would have bought the whole room out. Yeah.
Yeah, there can't be that many of them that have DiMaggio and Mantle both on it. Like, what is that worth today, do you think?
Probably, it depends on the clarity of the autograph. It's all great. But yeah, probably $1,000, $1,500, nothing crazy. Those guys signed so much, right? The
Yeah.
90s was just the junk wax of shows as well. Man, I mean, it was show. Mantle made more money signing than he did playing baseball.
Right. Those guys, I mean, Mantle was the best player in baseball and made, what did he make? Like 100 grand a year, 80 grand a year, something like
Yeah.
that.
Which is a lot of money back then, right? It's not a bad living today, but yeah, these guys just signed and signed and signed. So I was lucky to meet those guys. Yeah. I mean, I think of the 40 Hall of Famers on my bat, I think like 37 of them have passed away, something around there, 36, 37. So it's, I'm 46. So when I was a kid, these guys were my age or older, and now they're in their late 70s, right? So yeah, have not passed.
So I collected cards like a fiend when I was a kid. I don't as much anymore, but like I said, I can relate to your relationship with your dad. In fact, because I would go every dime that I got in my hand, I would go down to the card shop. By the way, shout out to the New Hobby Sports Cards and Bill, if you're listening, the New Hobby Sports Cards in Salem, Oregon. But I'd spend every dime there on new packs. But then I would also, it would be really cool because my dad collected cards and he would have the players from when he was growing up in the 60s and 70s. And every once in a while, he'd give me one of those. In fact, I vividly remember the first one I got was this just badass Roberto Clemente Topps card. You've probably seen it. It's a really good looking card. Do you have any, like, would your dad ever pass any down to you, or do you have any that are special to you that you associate with your dad?
Yeah. So my dad, I actually posted about this. My dad gave me the night before my bar mitzvah, the night before he gave me 2 Mickey Mantle cards. So he had an amazing collection, but he sold it all to start a business. And he had to feed my sister when she was born. Awful. I mean, would have to buy food for a baby, right? Should have kept the cards. But he had a Mantle Aaron 1957 Topps World Series Heroes, World Series Foes, it's called, where they're batting, they're both facing each other. Beautiful card. That was the first card, and he gave me a 56 Topps Mantle, the horizontal card, and it had a mustache and a pinhole because he hung it in his room. So those were the first 2 cards I got. I have a funny story about that Mantle. And he also gave me a 56 Topps football set, which we actually put together to complete the set when I was a kid. So that was in a binder. But the first cards he ever gave me, oddly enough, we were a baseball fan, we were football cards. 52 Bowman Large. There was small and large. He had given me for my, I think, 11th or 12th birthday, an Otto Graham, Frank Gifford rookie, Hugh McElhaney rookie, another Hall of Famer, and Chuck Bednarik. He gave me the 4 cards. And I was obsessed with the set, and I tried to put the set together. It got really expensive, but yeah, those were the cards. I still have a few, and I have a checklist with his penmanship on it. I still have a few that I would never sell. And it's pretty cool. Yeah.
In the industry, this is like my anecdotal evidence, and I think I've read some about this, but I feel so the industry, like when my dad was, say, like the 60s, 70s, and probably even some of the 80s, there was a scarcity because there was only a few brands of cards. And then like when I was growing up, there were a million brands. There were so many, like you could buy Topps, Donruss, like there's literally, I don't know if it was 100. There were a lot of brands of baseball card in particular. And so you notice, and tell me if this is accurate, I feel like the cards from when there were only a few brands are super valuable. Then in that era, they got less valuable because there were so many in circulation. Where is that true? And then where is it today? Are there still a lot of brands out there? Or does it feel like there's more of a scarcity of these cards?
So no, you're right. There is, if you look at an old Beckett Beckett used to start in 1948. From 1948 to the mid 90s, it was like 20 pages. And then 95 to 2000, it was like 300 pages. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, yes, you're right. Unfortunately, guys like Manny Ramirez, except for the 6-figure Derek Jeter rookie to SP, the junk wax era was so mass produced. The cards are not even worth grading with PSA. A run of the mill Chipper Jones rookie is like $70, and he was one of the greatest players ever. Right now, we're technically in the junk wax era. The only difference now is, like, I'm 46, I was saying. So until 1990, when Upper Deck started, you could get a Reggie Jackson autograph in the packs. You get whatever's there. Now you can get 6 and 7-figure cards in boxes. They're printing more than ever now, but that's the difference. You can actually go to Target and buy a blaster and get a $3,000 superfractor. You couldn't back then. So
Backpedal there for a second. What's a blaster and what's a superfractor?
sure, a blaster is the little boxes you see on the shelves at like Target.
Mhm.
Okay, they're retail blasters because they're sold in retail stores. They're 25 to 30 bucks. Like 6 packs will be in there, and the odds of getting something good are really tough. You absolutely can. A hobby box is the more expensive stuff you see at your hobby store. They also sell blasters, and then there's hangers that literally hang on the racks in Target or whatever department store you go to. A superfractor is what companies come out with. It's gold, and it's a one of one, and they make 2 variations, an auto and a non-auto. So a Panini flawless case of basketball cards, a case is literally 2 silver briefcases, looks like it's filled with cash. You can get $1 million card in there, but you're paying $40,000 for an older case or $20,000 for 2 suitcases, right? That it all depends on the year, the draft class. When we were kids, it was Topps, Fleer, Donruss, Upper Deck, and maybe some other shit brands. Excuse my English, right? So
You can
you
cuss
can
here.
get
Don't worry about
you can get a lot more expensive stuff this day, but it is absolutely the junk wax era. And you can do breaks now, right? It's a whole business.
it. So when you talk about those like suitcases, is that something that the card companies are producing,
Yes.
and it's $40,000, but you can pull a 7? So what's like what's a 7? That's insane. Like 7 figures for a card is almost hard to conceptualize. I mean, we all know the old ones like the famous Honus Wagner and all that, but like what's a 7-figure card that you could pull today if you bought one of those things?
Yeah, so the 8-figure card that Shine and Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, just bought, it was an Upper Deck Exquisite. That didn't come in a briefcase. That came in 2003, 2004 Exquisite, but like that year's LeBron a rookie, Dwayne Wade rookie, Chris Bosh rookie. Those cards were from that year, and Exquisite, which is the highest end basketball at the time, sold for almost $13 million. If you buy a case of flawless football or flawless basketball, you get a logo man. You can get a logo man of somebody or a triple logo man that go for 6 figures, sometimes 7 figures. It is unbelievable. And sometimes they're not even game used, but they're supposed to be the little NBA logo men from the jersey, right? Or the NFL shield, the little NFL shield. Justin Herbert one sold for $1.5 million a few years ago. And they're one of one. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it because we talk, this podcast is called the Saustown Investor. We talk a lot of investing on here and how to value things. And obviously with cards, unlike a company, you don't have a balance sheet or a P&L or anything like that to look at. And there's probably some similarities to things like Bitcoin or gold that I won't answer the question for you. I'll just ask you, what drives values in the market when something comes across your desk? How do you decide what it's worth or try to project what it might be worth? Hey guys, we're taking a quick break, but before we get back into it, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us to keep bringing you more valuable content. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a review. Please, it makes a huge difference. All right, let's get back to it.
So yeah, we have some software. There's a great app called Card Ladder, and there's an Alt, which is another auction house. They have great technology. We can look at values. And eBay sold prices. The market drives. That's why you should never look to see what a card is going for in eBay. Look to see what it's sold for. And there's another website called 130point.com, where you can look at all the auction houses and also eBay solely to see what stuff goes for. But it's a very it's a very sliding scale sometimes, right? So things can be pumped and dumped, just like Bitcoin, just like the real estate market. We're seeing that with the soccer market. Soccer market was up almost 400%. Everybody was listening to their Messi's because the World Cup is going to be here. Stuff is starting to trickle down a little bit. Michael Jordan, which is the holy grails. Michael Jordan autograph Upper Deck cards. They're still incredibly high. We're seeing a little dip in the high stuff, but we just sold an $800,000 Michael Jordan last week, right? But the person who's buying an $800,000 card does not have $5 million in cash in the bank, because their financial advisor would say you're an idiot. They have $15, $20 million in cash and other assets, right? So it's a totally different level of people, right? But it's also people prospect and speculate like real estate. They're doing it with rookies. So people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on guys who have as many major league at bats as you and I have combined. And then the guys don't pan out to be anything. I was never in that game. I'm more of a vintage guy. I love modern, but it's tough to keep up. To give you an idea, Mickey Mantle played between 1951 and 1969. Of just Topps and Bowman cards, I think he has 43 or 44 total cards. Forget about the post serial cards, maybe 45 total. I looked it up. I can't remember the exact number. Shohei Ohtani is 22,000 different cards,
Yeah.
right? So it's total. It's changed parallels, and that drives the market. The rarity of the card, whatever the card's numbered of. Patrick Mahomes won his third Super Bowl ring, beat the Eagles, and his big time cards went down. There's no word sometimes. You don't really know. People buy stuff during the season. We'll see people buy quarterbacks in August, September before week 1. And then if they're 2-0, they'll sell them. But if they're 0-2, the sky falls with these guys. Yeah.
So it's like, I got to ask, because he's been just going off, having a historic playoffs. Like Ohtani, you mentioned him. Are his cards ripping right now, or is there any? Yeah. I think with him too, right? Because it feels like he's because he's from Japan, it feels like he would have more of a global reach, where maybe you get wealthy
Yes.
people outside the US that want a piece of those as well, right?
Yeah. So I just sold the triple auto on Sunday night. My client sold. It was a Topps Redemption, autographed by Sasaki, Yamamoto, and Shohei out of 5 autographed, and it sold for a little under $19,000. Kid pulled in the back, and the winning bidder was in Osaka, Japan. He has an entire continent of people behind him, right? And I'm not going to say he's the greatest baseball player ever, but look, when we were growing up, you heard stories of Babe Ruth, right? I mean, the guy's heyday was 70 years before we were born. He died 50 years before we were born. We see grainy black and white videos of the greatest hitter, the greatest pitcher. Now we're seeing it. It's like, I don't know if people appreciate it enough. It's mythological. And when he wins his 4th MVP in the history of baseball, there's 2 guys who have won 4 MVPs or more, Barry Bonds and Shohei. That is it. That's where the list ends. So his high-end stuff is 6 figures all day, 7 figures for a superfractor. If it ever came to market. He has 2 cards, pitching and hitting. The hitting is always worth more than pitching. People don't love pitchers, but it's still Shohei. But his stuff brings a ton of money, as it should. He's an anomaly. Guy went 9 for 9 in one game and pitched the next day.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in 2025, baseball's been around for, 150 years. To truly say we're seeing something that's never happened before. I mean, I know you could point to Babe Ruth, but like you said, it's so far in the rear view. I mean, it's absurd. He's not, he's not the greatest. Like Barry Bonds is a better hitter, but Barry Bonds didn't pitch, or, there's people that are, but to see what he's doing, not to mention he can steal bases. I mean, the guy, it's freakish. We've never, truly never, even you think of somebody like LeBron, for all that he did, we can at least say, like, we saw Jordan do this stuff. We really have not seen anybody do what Shohei is doing, which is almost impossible to encounter that these days.
He's doing Little League stuff. It's like, hey, remember Jimmy? He was a great athlete. He was a great pitcher and hitter, and then it dissipates, right? He goes on to play soccer.
Yeah.
99.9% of people end up selling insurance or real estate or sales. Nobody goes to the pros, let alone does this. So what we're seeing, I hope people appreciate it. And that's why I tell my kids not to use the word hate, but I hate when people stop comparing LeBron to Jordan. I'm lucky enough, got to see them both in their primes, not the same player, not the same person, right? Jordan didn't have social media, could you imagine, with all the stuff he did, right? People just love to compare. It makes for great news, but just appreciate what you're watching. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It really is. And this stuff is worth a small fortune. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to go Skip Bayless, Stephen A on you right there. With the Jordan LeBron debate. I don't want to dive into that. They're both freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, I'm curious, because you've loved sports and sports cards forever since you opened that pack in 1985. But I checked your LinkedIn. You have a kind of a diverse background as far as what you've done professionally over the years. Obviously, that love for sports and memorabilia and cards has stuck with you. But you've only been with Fanatics for 5 months. It's a new thing. Because we've all been through job interviews, but not many of us, almost no one does what you do. It's a cool job. What is like, how do you get hired there? What's the interview process? Are they testing your sports knowledge and quizzing you? Like what goes into that?
Can I share the story about how I actually got the job? Is that okay?
Yeah, please. I would love that.
All right. So this is a true story. I had sent 132 cards exactly into PSA. I'm still married. So let's say that summer 2020. Okay. I got the cards back 2021. I got 92 nines out of 132 cards.
Just to clarify, PSA is when you send your cards off to get certified and graded, right?
Graded. And 10 is the best. If there's no 10 of that card, whatever the highest grade becomes the best of that card. Okay.
Go.
So I got, of the 132 exact cards, I got 92 nines. And I'm like, here we go. They're trying to keep the population report down. The population report is the less, more valuable card, the more valuable it really is. Okay. So I posted, I don't care about confrontation, but I'm not that guy. So I posted a nice post on my Instagram account. Nat Turner, the CEO of PSA, I wake up and I see an email from him, a message from him. I thought it was a joke. Turns out it was really him. He and I got to talking, and I said, this is my passion, my love for the last 35 years. If you're ever hiring, I would love to chat. We talked, I sent the cards back, he helped me out. Fast forward a couple months, now separated. I'm living in an apartment by myself, see my kids 50% of the time. And I'm in my friend's baseball card store. Shout out to Evan Sports and Collectibles in Voorhees, New Jersey, hanging out. And I get an email from the head of HR at PSA. Hey, I got your information from Nat, the CEO. I want to talk to you about a job. I almost fell to my knees. Went through a bunch of interviews, and it was the summer of 2022. So we're still coming off the high of COVID, right? COVID had hit, if you remember December 21, COVID had a big outbreak.
Yeah.
COVID was kind of dissipating. The National Sports Convention was in Atlantic City in my backyard that summer. So I interviewed with a bunch of people. This one guy, Kevin, who was the president of PSA at the time. Turns out there was just a hiring freeze. So I go to the National wearing dress clothes, like 50 pounds thinner than I am now. I'm gross now, but I put on dress clothes, shirt tucked in. I'm like, I want to meet these guys. I saw Nat. I got to meet Nat in person, and I remember looking at my phone. I walked almost 14 miles to try to find this guy, Kevin Linane, the VP at the time, or president at the time. I couldn't find him. I was really down and deflated. Went to get water with my buddy, and I see Kevin walking by himself. He was like, come back tomorrow morning, let's talk. So we talked. He's like, I'm really sorry. I just kept in touch. And one day I sent him a message on LinkedIn, congratulating him about the big Paul Skeens $1 million card that sold the MLB debut. He said, I actually may have something. I went through the process, interviewed with him. Now it's 3 years later. Okay. I literally stuck with it. I had other jobs, but this is my passion. Interviewed with two other gentlemen, and I got hired. And let me tell you, real talk, they called me June 2nd, that I was starting June 9th. And my boss now probably heard my voice crack. I cried for 10 minutes when I got off the call, because all I wanted to do was call my dad and tell him I finally did it. And 3 years ago, and I still get chills telling the story, because 3 years ago at the National, I'm eating chicken fingers with my friend. I was unemployed for a couple months, saying like, am I ever going to get a job again? Am I ever even going to work in this hobby? Newly separated, sick mom, going through all my money. Am I ever going to work in the hobby? 3 years later, I'm in the top of the Topps booth at the National, because we own Topps, closing a $600,000 card deal for the Caitlin Clark logo woman with my client and Kevin, the guy I interviewed with 3 years ago, who's now my boss. And I was like, I don't think you understand how big of a moment this is for me, man. 3 years ago, I couldn't find you. I walked almost 14 miles, and here I am. I almost cried. I literally almost cried in front of it's surreal, because the only thing I care about besides my friends and my kids are cards. Like, I joke around, I should be dating more. I hang out with every fat guy in New Jersey, my friend's baseball card stores, when I don't have my kids. Like, this is my life. So to see my dream literally come true at 46, I'm a little later in the game, better than 56, but it's surreal. And that's why I work 14 hours a day. That's why I'm doing very well here, because you won't outwork me in the passion, man. It's all I care about. Seriously. And if it wasn't for Nat Turner, if it wasn't for Kevin, I wouldn't be sitting here, to be honest. I wouldn't.
I love that story, man. I mean, if it wasn't for Nat and Kevin, but if it wasn't for your persistence as well, I mean, that's so many people, we talk about like people get really motivated about something and then a week later that it doesn't work. They want instant gratification and they give up on it. I mean, you started with an Instagram post that got his attention, but then we're 3 years, you're walking 14 miles and it's, kind of bigger picture here. We do a lot of kind of business type content on here for people that are interviewing or want a job in this age of everybody blasting out these AI generated resumes and cover letters. Like, you got to find ways to separate yourself. And that's what you did. And I see you do it still on LinkedIn. You're always posting these cool cards. But man, I long way of saying just like kudos to you, because most people
Thank you.
would give up on it. Oh, it didn't work, I'll just go back to my other job. And you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, like a very personal story. It's also, when you go through stuff in the last 7 years, I mean, lost my dad, who I've mentioned several times, my best friend, to cancer, rare form.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Lost a divorce. And a few months before my divorce was finalized, my mom was diagnosed with dementia. So I literally went bankrupt getting her into a home before Medicaid kicked in, and my divorce. So that's why, again, work so hard. That's why I did over 3x my goal for my first quarter. Commission check's going to be amazing, because I'm not going to say I want it more than anybody. There's a lot of people but when you love what you do, money just flows. When you don't think about it, and I have the greatest job in the world. I get to talk about cards and memorabilia all day. It's surreal. It really is. Took me 3 years to get the job, and I'm never giving it up. That's for sure.
Yeah. And there's people that will tell you, like, don't work in your passion because it'll turn it into a job and you won't like it as much anymore. But I don't think I don't buy that at all. And I certainly can tell that you don't, because this is your passion. You eat, sleep, and breathe this. And that's what makes it sustainable. If you like what you're doing, it doesn't feel like a job. So let's get into that. I mean, you said you're hanging out at your day to day with your job. You're hanging out at sports card shops. You're talking sports. But what do you do at a very basic level? Like, how do you get a commission? What happens?
So what I do is we get leads, calls, referrals. Like, I just got a $10,000 referral for a card from somebody because somebody liked me, right? I get a commission when, say, you submit a card to us. We give you a percentage over of what it sells for. Every buyer pays 20%. Most auction houses, every buyer pays 20%. So, layman's terms, somebody buys a $10,000 card, it costs them $12,000. Of that 20%, we give the seller a percentage, whatever we negotiate. We take the rest. I get a commission. So it's all tiered. And the more cards you sell, the more money you make. So, it can be incredibly lucrative. Like, I sold, just to give you an idea, last quarter I sold 8,600 cards. This month I'm on pace to do like 12,000 cards, right? So people are like, how do you make any money? And then I show them one card, and it's like, we only made a few $100 on that card. It's like, I just told you I sold 8,500 cards last month, right? So you don't make that much every card, believe me. That would be crazy. But that's how you make the commission. Yeah, it's paid quarterly, and it's I have about 320 clients, so it's been incredible.
So you're like the buy side broker, like you have the relationships with the people who have the cards, and then you sign a contract or whatever to sell this card or this piece of memorabilia or this pack of cards for someone. And then Fanatics handles the sale portion, or do you also find a seller?
No, we're an auction house.
I'm sorry. I meant to say, do you also find a buyer on the back end?
Yes, both. So we are the auction house. So we have two auctions, a weekly auction, which is every single Thursday to the following Sunday. So it's only 10 days, no 30-day crap like some auction houses. And then we have a premier auction, which the cards in that go from $5 to, we just sold a Shohei back then for $84,000 on Sunday. And then we have a premier auction, which is once a month, where the minimum card price has to be $10,000. It's once a month. So I'm their account manager. We send them free FedEx labels, fully insured, priority overnight. They send us their cards. They all have a vault in Oregon. There was a company called PWCC, which card collectors know this. It was a big auction house. We bought PWCC. We bought their vault, which is a literal vault in Oregon. People send their cards to their vault. From their vault, once they're curated, we do all the work. Once they're curated, meaning take pictures, make sure the titles are correct, Make sure they're authenticated. Once they're ready to go, the people can actually list the cards from their desktop or the app. We have an app and put them wherever they want, and they watch the prices go up and down, and then they're paid. We pay out 3 times a week. They're paid from there, and it's really user friendly. And it's incredibly busy. It's incredibly busy. People sending stuff in. It's Wednesday morning, and I've already done $700,000 in labels for folks, right? So it's incredibly busy. But we have new members every single day. We have about 200,000 registered bidders on our website. We're the second biggest auction house, like I was saying, behind eBay. In the month of September, I have it right here, we did a little under $52.5 million in cards alone. I'm not the only one. There's 7 or 8 other, I think there's 9 now, maybe, total sales guys. So yeah, on the team. Yeah.
Do your daughter, like, are your daughters into sports, or do they think your job is cool, or do they like kind of know it? You said they're 5 and 11, right? Do they know what you do, and do they like sports?
My oldest knows what I do because I tell her, and she's seen me happier than I've been in 10 years. She can see every day, right? I can't get them into cards. I tried, which is probably better for me because it saves me a lot of money. My girls are total girls. Like, my oldest stopped playing sports. She's now on the dance team. Dances 4 or 5 days a week. My little one's into art. I cannot. That's another reason why I don't collect as much as I used to. They sit in a box and another box, and I have 2 girls. Like, they don't want this crap. So, they see me happy, and she'll see prices of cards, and I'll show her cool pictures. I'm like, guess what this sold for? Guess what this sold for? It just runs into issues if she goes back to my ex-wife and say, hey, daddy just sold a car for 90 grand, thinking that I got 90 grand and I'm divorced. That's not, I get a very, very, very small piece. Oh, but my oldest sees me incredibly happy, and that's what she sees. And I show her cool stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I remember back in 2021, there was a ton of hype around these digital cards. They were called Hot Shots or Top Shots. I can't remember.
NFTs?
Yeah, they were like NFT cards. And that was the same time where all the NFT craze was going on, and the government was printing all this money. People were just spending money on any and everything at the time. And I think it kind of fell by the wayside for the most part. Do you see much trading of digital cards these days, or do you think there's any future for that? I mean, I'm a physical card guy. I can't imagine paying a bunch of money for a thing that I just get to hold on my phone. But do you see any future in that?
I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. I know the blockchain stuff people were buying. I know people were spending 5-6 figures. NFTs, I never got into. Bitcoin, unfortunately, I never got into.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I never got into that. I like the physical. That's why people buy gold, right? Because I want to actually own physical assets, right? I don't know enough about that stuff at all. I'm a memorabilia and sports card guy. I know that NFTs are down big time.
Yeah.
Like this Bored Apes and all this stuff that people were buying for $20 million and now worth like 10,000, but I don't know anything about it because I couldn't afford the stuff at the time. I had a newborn. I wasn't even thinking about. I just thought it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, those were bizarre. They were like I'm a real estate guy, and people were buying like real estate in the metaverse. I'm like, what the hell do you do with it? Like actual real estate. You can you can live in it. You can sell stuff from it. It can be a storefront, a restaurant. Like, what the hell are you going to do with metaverse real estate? But I digress. What's put you on the spot here? It's kind of what's something that maybe people don't know about the industry, or that we would be surprised to know about the cards and collectibles space?
Not everybody's a millionaire collector. You see, Instagram, social media, not to go off on a tangent, like I've walked 10 miles in the snow when I was a kid, but social media has kind of ruined the world and the outlooks of people. Most of the time when you see a 6-7 figure card, people spend a lot of money to get that card unless they get lucky in a break with a breaker. Don't get wound up in that stuff. Don't spend all of your money chasing. And I see it all the time. Buy what you can afford, buy what you love, right? Not everybody's a millionaire. It seems that way on Instagram. I can tell you, it's not that way. And most of the card, people should do this for the love. People should buy what you can afford, and just, it's sad at times. It's sad at times to see that. It should take you back. I know people spend millions of dollars on cards. They have tens of millions of dollars. But in my opinion, maybe I'm jaded, and I've had to talk some clients down a little bit. If cards don't take you back to a time when you're sitting on the floor of your bedroom opening packs with your friends or your dad, if this has become not a business, but a business where you're losing money and you're gambling, you got to revisit your life choices. Like slow it down, think about what you're doing, and don't blow all your money in credit card debt on cards, chasing and chasing and chasing. It's no different than going to the casino these days. It's gambling.
Yeah, it's a spec. If you want to call it some people will call it its own asset class, but it's a speculative asset. It doesn't pay you every month. It doesn't kick off cash flows. It is a speculative investment.
Yeah.
And it's fine to speculate as long as you know that you're speculating and you're doing it with money that you can afford to lose, frankly. And then, like you said, doing it because you just like sports and it makes you happy and maybe takes you back to like you said, a cool place on your bedroom floor with your dad or whatever it may be. But I think that's why you gotta get into it, right?
Yeah, if you're going the arbitrage route and trying to make, trying to make 50, 20% a month on even on Holy Grail cards, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I would never tell anybody to do with their money, but just not going to say you should only do this for the love because people do this full time and make millions of dollars. They do. They absolutely do. You're just not going to, not every startup is Facebook, right? I'm sure you dealt with people who've made a fortune on land and also lost a fortune on land. You just hope to come out above at the end. Nowadays, people just post all the positive stuff and not their losses. That's it.
All right, dude. If you're cool with it, let's have a little fun here. I'm gonna hit you with a rapid fire round. That work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, you might have already answered this one because that bat with 40 Hall of Famers autographs on it is pretty freaking epic. But what is the coolest piece of memorabilia, either that you own or that you've come across?
Oh, definitely that I own is the bat by far that I've ever come across. I'm still a little kid when I go to the Hall of Fame and I see a jersey that Babe Ruth wore or Lou Gehrig wore. To me, I'm still like, oh my God, this guy wore this. I'd have to think about the coolest piece of memorabilia I've ever seen. But that would be, the bat is by far what I own. Yeah.
I think I'm with you. If I'm not even a Yankee fan, I'm a Mariner fan. But if I had 100 million or whatever, I think to just hang a Babe Ruth game worn jersey in my man cave or whatever, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah, exactly.
What's if you're able to share this, what's the biggest transaction that you've seen go down? Most money that changed hands on a piece of card or piece of memorabilia.
So personally, the biggest card I brought in was the Caitlin Clark National Treasures logo one, and it sold for $503,000. But we sold a card. We sold $1 million Mickey Mantle last auction. That was the biggest card I saw. So yeah, within Fanatics so far. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I know you met tons of cool athletes growing up, and you probably, I would imagine, meet some these days with your job. What's the coolest pro athlete encounter that you've had?
Coolest pro athlete, I would probably say meeting, I have a lot more bad stories than good, unfortunately, these old curmudgeons. But you heard stories about Joe DiMaggio. I remember shaking his hand. Shaking Joe DiMaggio's hand, he was very nice to me because I was a kid. Or Rod Carew called Jim Palmer over to be like, look at this kid's bat. And they were talking about my bat. And I think I was like 12 or 13 years old. That was really cool. Sorry. And I used to have it. So you ever see the 500 home run poster, the original one of the 500 guys standing in Yankee Stadium? That was a famous show in Atlantic City in 1989, I think. They did one for NHL for the 500 goal scorers at the time, and 16 of the 19 guys at the time, it was 1996, were at the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, and they were all sitting according to the poster, so you would just move it down. And Guy Lafleur was like, I remember he was like, oh, kid, where are you from? And I said, oh, Philadelphia. And he's like, in his French accent, he was like, oh, 1976. It showed me his ring. He said, we whooped your guy's ass. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Who's an athlete that you think doesn't get enough love that more people should appreciate?
All time or currently?
Either.
Oh man, I don't know why. Barry Bonds has never been guilty of anything. We know he took steroids, but I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Alex Rodriguez, I think the steroid guy should be in the Hall of Fame. I do. That's my opinion. We don't know who wasn't taking steroids, and it saved baseball. The commissioner from that time is in. The managers are in. I think those guys should be more recognized because steroids don't help you hit a ball and hit 300.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I've come full circle on that topic. I used to be like, nope, you did steroids, you cheated the game, and now I'm like, dude, everyone was doing it. The game,
everyone.
the people in power knew it was happening. They let it happen. Everybody was getting paid. There was a home run. I remember being a little kid, the Sosa McGuire home run chase. We're all having fun. Who gives a shit if they took
Yeah.
steroids? I just don't.
It was not illegal back then anyway. I have a bunch of people that should be in their respective Hall of Fames that I don't know why certain people aren't in. That's my favorite topic, is talking about Hall of Famers and who should be in the Hall of Fame. There's a bunch of people in their respective sports, but to keep it short, I think those guys. I mean, other sports, I think Lou Whitaker should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Dwight Evans. Don Mattingly was my idol. I don't know. Seth Joyner in the Hall of Fame in football. There's a bunch of guys I think they don't just get enough love. If you played somewhere that wasn't really, if you played in Seattle in the 80s as opposed to New York, you're not going to get as much love.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, my guy Edgar Martinez got in on his 10th year, or else I would be bitching and moaning about him right now. But incredibly happy for Edgar. Who's your favorite current athlete?
Favorite current athlete? That is a great question. I'm going to have to say Shohei for what he's doing. It's unbelievable. I've said it, ad nauseum. I can't. I love him. I love Connor McDavid. Watching athletes do what they do, to me, is just incredible thing. It really is. I mean, yeah, I think those are probably the two.
What is the GOAT sports card ever?
Wow, this is putting me on the spot.
The Holy Grail.
I'm going to say, that is a great question. Oh, man. My favorite card of all time is probably the 19th. I mean, it's not worth the most by any means. I go back and forth. 1953 Topps Jackie Robinson and the 1953 Topps Satchel Paige. Just the colors of those cards. If you have one in great condition, they're worth a fortune. Just the colors of those cards. That or the 1953 Bowman Color Mickey Mantle, because that was the first cards that were actual real photos. And if you don't know the 1953 Bowman Color set, you should Google some of the images because it's incredible.
Jotting that down.
Yeah, a lot of them were taken in Yankee Stadium because Topps was in Topps on Bowman in New York. 1953 Bowman Color is unbelievable.
All right, David. Well, you've been super generous with your time. Just a few final questions before we get you out of here, and you can go do some more deals. What do you not? I mean, I guess you've answered part of it. I know you love doing what you do for work for fun, but aside from that, what do you like to do with your free time?
Yeah, I mean, I should be working out more. I've gotten really fat since starting the job because I'm working so much, but I love hanging out at my friend's baseball card store just with the guys. I'm really laid back. Love watching sports, movies. Love working out. Love being with my friends. When I'm not with my kids, I only have my kids 50% of the time, but that's my focus, man. That is my focus, keeping healthy mental mind. And I love being around cards. I know it sounds so cliche, but if I'm around sports and cards, I don't need much. I really don't. I don't need a girlfriend. I don't need a wife. I'll never get married again. I'm good. I got my kids and cards and friends. I'm good.
What's the best thing you've read, watched, or listened to recently?
I am currently reading a book called Glory of Their Times. It's this author, I can't remember his name, called Glory of Their Times. It was written in the 60s. What happened was Todd Cobb had died, and the author was like, oh my God, all these guys are dying from the dead ball era. I got to interview them. And actually, you can listen to the audio tapes on podcast or audiobooks, which is really cool. I'm actually reading the book, but it's about players who's played in the teens and 20s, and they're really old men in the 60s, and it just talks about their day. That's really cool. But that's the best thing that I'm reading. I try to read a lot, but that's the best thing I'm reading right now. Yeah.
Shout out to Ty Cobb, by the way. That's another dream. If I could get a Cobb worn jersey, I would be pretty stoked about that. But
yes.
All right, David. Well, thank you again so much for making time for this. I love sports, and getting to talk to you has been really cool, really interesting, and it just makes me, I didn't, I guess, until I talked to you, realize how much this meant to you and how much went into this and how you landed at your dream job and how much blood, sweat, and tears went into getting here. So again, I just want to congratulate you on that. And
Thank you.
before we let you go, is there
Yeah.
anything you would like to plug or tell people where they can follow you? Or maybe one of our listeners has a piece of memorabilia or a card they want to sell. Anything you want to plug right now, floor is yours.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you want the best customer service and truly the best auction house for cards, Fanatics Collect. Again, my name is Dave Gintis. I'm on LinkedIn. My Instagram is Dave Gin, DAVEGIN 79_collection. So DAVEGIN 79_collection. I post everything on LinkedIn on there and would love to work with anybody. It's people need to feel safe with their investments. So that's what we do. That's why we're the best. Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Well, pleasure having you, David, and have a great
Thank
rest
you.
of your day.
I appreciate it, man. Nice meeting you. I appreciate the time.
You as well.
Thanks. Take care, bud.
That is a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Saustown Investor. If you got value from this, drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Did you have a big takeaway? Is there a topic you want to see us cover next time? Is there a guest you want to see interviewed? DMs are open. Business is at Saustown Properties, and my personal, you can DM me personally, is at The Real Matt Cox 4. We'd also like to ask you kindly to please like and subscribe. You can also follow along with the Saustown Investor blog. That's mattcox444.substack.com. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, keep investing and stay saucy, Saustown.